Hi there, Mr. Penterakis here with another part of my e-teaching portfolio. Now in the last part we talked about transcendentalism and what it meant. And the reason we did that is for the overarching context to understand on self-reliance by Emerson. Now, what's important to understand before we get into on self-reliance is a little bit of the backstory of how this piece was written and came to be. Now Emerson, as we said, was a Harvard boy. An intellectual. He graduated amongst the top of his class, and his professors saw that he was bright. He was sometimes their favorite student, and he had a good rapport and a good working relationship with Harvard professors. The plan was to go into Harvard Divinity School and take a teaching position at Harvard. This was his for the taking. He was ready to do this. However, remember that another driving tenet of Emerson's belief was in contrast to organized religion. Now, the Unitarian Church, a lot of the prominent members of the Unitarian Church were also deans and had positions of power in Harvard Divinity School. And as we know, Emerson was about speaking your mind, finding what drives you, finding your purpose, and being true to that. So, as this protege, who was this intellectual and highly touted by many of the Harvard faculty, he had a lot of speaking opportunities to speak to the Harvard student body, the community. And one of his speeches was in contrast, he derided organized religion. And this upset many of the members of the Unitarian Church, who were also deans and people of authority in the Harvard Divinity School. So some professors that respected him, and he had mutual admiration and respect for, and they respected him, they pulled him over to the side and said, hey, listen, kid, you know, that speech you made really upset the deans. It looks like you're probably not going to have a teaching position waiting for you at Harvard. Furthermore, it seems that you're probably not even going to get into Harvard Divinity School. Now, the emotional turmoil of this event percolated for a couple of years, and the result is on self-reliance. This is a powerful piece to those who want to be true to themselves and are always looking to find their way. And it speaks to a balance between conformity and appeasing those like your parents and maybe authority figures, or what people say is the proper course in life, maybe having a pension, having a good job, to your purpose, your calling, your higher calling, maybe an artist or an author or a musician or a rapper or a stage performer, performance art, whatever it is, the calling that drives you. This essay speaks about the balancing that and searching within yourself to see what is really, really deep down inside of you, what the muse or the higher power or the interconnectedness, I guess Emerson's Eastern concept of God, would instill in you, and to follow that. So let me read a quote. Truth thyself, every heart vibrates that iron string. Accept the place the divine providence has found for you, the society of your contemporaries, the connection of events. Great men have always done so and confided themselves childlike to the genius of their age, betraying their perception that the absolutely trustworthy was seated at their heart, working through their hands and predominating all their being. Basically saying, all great men, people who have achieved great heights in history, found their calling, searched inside, and they didn't become accountants, let's say, or go to law school. They pursued that passion with 100% drive and fervor and achieved. Okay? Now, let's talk about the source, or what artists, musicians will call the muse. A lot of people in the creative process talk about the creative process that almost, when they're in the zone, that it's almost as if they're not creating the work, that a higher force guides their work or their hand or the composition of that piece or the music or the essay or the screenplay or whatever it may be. And a lot of artists attest to this, that there's like something greater, a muse, we call it. Emerson talked about this. That source, that once the essence of genius, of virtue, and of life, which we call spontaneity or instinct. Now there's not a lot of names for this, but this was an intangible concept that Emerson absolutely spoke to. The final part of On Self-Reliance is dealing with outside criticism. In other words, Emerson admired people who can follow their passion, follow their calling, follow their drive, and not worry about what the critics might say, not worry about what their parents might think, not worry about their extended family of, what's he doing? Oh, he wants to go be a comedian, huh? Isn't that great? That's a smart boy. He should be in law school, right? That type of criticism, okay? This bothered Emerson. He dealt with it in his own life. When he made that speech, and he put his views on the table, and for all to see, it created a backlash that took away a nice, cushy job for him. Final thing, he finishes with a quote. A foolish consistency is the hobgoblin of little minds, adorned by little statements, and philosophers and divines. Basically what this is saying is, if you think you can't change your mind, if you think you can't start living to your passion later, and be like, well, I'm an accountant, but I've always wanted to start this brick oven pizzeria, and that was what I wanted to do in high school. And your wife might say to you, are you kidding me? We have a $5,000 a year mortgage, and you're making over $100,000 a year as an accountant. You're going to give that up for this silly childhood dream of yours? What Emerson would say is, yes, absolutely. Now, the hobgoblin of little minds is that stubbornness, to stick with that accounting job. And it's adorned by little statements and philosophers. Little statesmen, idiots, people who have authority, but they're little. They're not great people in history because they follow the status quo. They follow this carefully outlined path for them, and they never bothered to search within themselves to find what was really, really driving them. Now, so to recap, On Self-Reliance is basically this. Emerson is saying to you, search within yourself. Find what really drives you, what you're passionate about. Find that. Do some soul searching. Go through a midlife crisis if you have to, but find it. And then, go for it. Easier said than done, right? Now, the assessment of this would be, I would tell the students to write a reaction piece to this. Do you agree with Emerson? Do you think it's better to follow your passion, even albeit risky? Or do you think it's better to take that job at Dad's accounting firm, which is going to pay the bills ultimately? It's a dilemma that many, many people deal with.